What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Red Movie Podcast, the podcast where everything is connected. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and joining me is my co-host, friend, and the person most likely to buy his friend a Wii in 2016, even though the Nintendo Switch is coming out the following March, Alex Perkins. Perk, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well, thanks. I've always been behind the trend on consoles. The Switch came out in 2017.
March 2017, which
All
is
right,
wild.
I just I just bought one, so clearly behind the trends.
Well, and we don't talk about the Wii U. That's out of the question.
Right, of course.
That didn't happen. But yeah, the new Switch should be coming out next year, hopefully, which is exciting. But this isn't
definitely put all your eggs in that basket.
But this isn't a video game podcast, even though I wish it was. This is a movie podcast. This is the show where every week Perk and I review a movie connected to the last one we watched. If you like our show, we post pretty much every Friday on podcast services and YouTube. Come watch with us, tell your friends about it, and we have a good time. Last week, we watched Decision to Leave, which featured the actor Park Hae-il, and him and Jung Yoo-mi, who is in this film, were both in a movie called Skeletons in the Closet. So we kind of did a little lily frog here, but Jung Yoo-mi was the pregnant woman in this film. So and this film was Train to Busan. Perk, why don't you intro for us?
Yeah, all right. Train to Busan is a 2016 joint directed by Sang Ho-yeon, starring Gong Yoo, Jung Yoo-mi, Ma Dong-seok, and Suan Kim. And it's like zombies.
Yeah,
pretty much. And basically a father and daughter, a separated marriage, are trying to get via train to Busan, like from the title, to see her mother, and zombie virus breaks out, and they gotta survive on the train with zombies and antics.
There we go. Any fun facts for me?
Yeah, I've got a couple. This is the first live action movie that this director made. Everything else previous was animated.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The actor who plays the big guy, Ma Dong-seok, used to be Gong Yoo, the protagonist's personal trainer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice little kind of full circle moment.
The math checks out on that as well. And Edgar Wright, who directed Shaun of the Dead, another zombie movie, called this one the best zombie movie he's seen in forever when it came out.
Well, going off of that, I'll go first, Perk, because I'll be honest, I peeped your Letterboxd review, so I know we differ this week. All right. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought this was outstanding. And I'm someone who I'm so sick of the zombie genre. I feel like we've gotten way oversaturated. I never watched Walking Dead, and I know it was very good, but that just went on forever, and it's still going, and a bunch of spinoffs, and just like also in video games, zombie stuff is still prevalent, and I'm just sick of it. That being said, I think this movie works so well. It cuts out all the bullshit, I feel like, that we normally get in the genre, and I think the characters are very interesting in that we have the main character is someone who's pretty unlikable, but he's balanced out by his daughter, and like that dynamic I think really works. And then we have like another even more villainous character besides the zombies, of course. And yeah, I thought it was just super effective. Action was great, and as dark as the movie is, I actually still found it kind of hopeful. So yeah, I was very surprised how much I enjoyed Train to Busan.
Yeah, I give this movie like a half-hearted thumbs up. Like it's good, but for me, not much to write home about. I think that the movie it's pretty solid all the way through. It has a few moments that I love, and some stuff that I just doesn't really work for me. But it evens out to like just pretty good, enjoyable zombie film. You were talking about zombie exhaustion. I think my experience with this movie maybe benefited based on the fact that it's been so long since I consumed any zombie content. Because like thinking back, I watched The Walking Dead when it was, I watched like the first 4 or 5 seasons, I think. But since then, I haven't really watched anything even like remotely zombie themed. So I think that space kind of allowed a reset almost. You know, I've never really played any zombie games since Call of Duty when I was 12. But, yeah, I think that the distance kind of it allowed my brain to like be open to the idea of like another zombie movie, even though in 2016 that's probably about the peak of when like Walking Dead was in full swing and they were starting to spin off and The Last of Us and that was all the rage.
Yep.
Telltale had a Walking Dead game which was pretty good, but I beef with Telltale games we don't need to get into that.
Yeah. Well, there's all the like Dying Light, Dead Island, Dead Rising. It's I think because I'm more a video game guy that I'm just like I'm so sick of hearing about zombies.
Right. And I think if I had watched it when it came out, I might have been like a little bit like eye rolly almost, but the space between that time and now was enough that I didn't really have any trouble with the zombies being like the main point of the movie.
Right. Well, and it's funny you say that because I don't think they are. Like, I think a lot of the beats of this movie, like, it didn't have to be zombies. It could have been any kind of apocalyptic event, and the movie would have worked. And that's because, to me, this movie is about selfishness and selflessness, and the dichotomy between those, and different characters kind of grappling with that concept. And the zombies allow for some really cool action set pieces, and there's some really really cool stuff they do with that. But yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of just a meditation on selfishness, and I thought it worked well in that regard.
Yeah, I think that's a good central theme for sure. I don't think there's much to bite off past that, but there doesn't really need to be, because as much as the movie isn't about zombies, it is too, and on top of that, there's a lot of interpersonal dynamics going on that are pretty interesting to see. So yeah, I see what you're saying, where it's not zombie first like some other things.
Yeah.
This is another incredibly cliche thing, but it's like it's not about the zombies; it's about the people. Like, yeah, that's actually just every zombie content is the same way. But
I appreciate we don't waste time on like how exactly the zombies got made or how exactly to fight them. It's just like there's a lab leak, and if it's dark, they can't see you. Like, and that's all we need to know. That's all the rules that we need to establish.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be like, because a lot of zombie movies also have a lot of guns. This movie has almost no guns, right? And all of it's like, oh, you got to shoot him in the head. Like, we don't have to do any of that bullshit.
We don't need a solution. Yeah, I do quite like that, because a lot of times one thing that sets this one apart from the other genre films is like a lot of times it's finding the solution or finding the answer, or finding a way to stop it. But this is a much more focused central goal of like, we're gonna survive. We're not equipped for this. We don't know what to do. We're just gonna, do the best we can come up with. And yeah, there's no like news broadcast like you gotta hit him in the head or any of that. Yeah, we don't really dwell on the like the spawn, the way it all starts, which I think is good. I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, I was like super interested in like, well, what happened at the start? And looking back, I don't. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like, it doesn't. And
yeah,
because that all being said, I do think it was weird. We had that one phone call near the end where Mr. Kim calls the main character Sukwoo about like they were like investing or something, or maybe they divested from like the plant that leaked the virus, and he's like, "This is our fault." It was weird that we got that, because I feel like, okay, you're adding more complications to how this started, and I don't think we need that. But maybe they'll just try to be more of a character moment of the main character like telling him it wasn't his fault to show like growth. Maybe, but we didn't need that phone call, is what I'm trying to say. I think it kind of muddy things a little bit.
I think you're right. It was it's one of those things where it's like it answered a question that at that point in the movie I don't think we were asking.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter. The zombies are here. Right. They're not going away. It doesn't really matter how they got.
We've gotten past the premise.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like we don't need to. I guess it makes it more of a character moment, and it's a powerful scene by the lead actor. But I don't think it needed to be that. I think he could have had some other come to Jesus, but getting a call from Mr. Kim when Mr. Kim should be like on a boat out of town or something.
Right. And he does get his moment later with his daughter.
Yes.
Which, is very, their relationship was
Great
amazing.
Moment.
Yeah. The daughter killed it. I thought she was fantastic.
We can talk about that moment later, but to touch on the acting, I think the lead actor,
Gong Woo character is Suk Woo.
Gong Yu, I think he was great.
Yeah.
I think his daughter was the best actor in the film, Suan Kim.
Yeah.
I think, like, it's so crazy to think, because oftentimes we talk about, you know what? We always talk about how child actors are often terrible, but
we keep getting proven
wrong.
We
ever come across one? Yeah. I mean, we're not watching the right movies, I guess. Yeah. But no, I think it's a unique thing that not only is the child actor great, but I think she has the best performance in the film.
Yeah, she carries the movie for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it's not a role with all too much depth. It's pretty much just her crying a lot,
mm-hmm.
but she does a really good job.
Yeah,
and her emotional moments with her dad especially are really well done. So I think she kind of carried the acting, even though there weren't really any weak spots acting wise. I think pretty much everyone put in a good turn.
Yeah.
And then also with acting, and I don't know, because at the start of the movie, it's not really a thing later on, but at the start of the movie, there's some real shonky CG.
Yeah, there's a few shots I'm like, could have done another pass on that.
Yeah, it's a lot less noticeable in like the tighter confines when they're on the train and everything.
Yeah, it's one of the outdoor like group shots or like the splats.
Right, or like when a horde of zombies like jumps out a window. It's like, I mean, that's just it doesn't have the budget of a $500 million Marvel.
Yeah.
So, but I was really impressed with, and I'm guessing it was acting because it didn't look special effects, but some of the contortionism that the zombies were pulling off, and just the way they kind of jerk their bodies around, and this has the movie. It goes with the subgenre of the zombie film, the zombie film, because they're zooming around.
Yeah, they're fast.
They're fast zombies, which is not often the case. Usually, they're more just kind of like a eating, gnawing presence.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, they're like, no, it's a wave. It's coming at you.
Oh Lord, they're coming.
Yeah, fairly reminiscent of World War Z. Did you ever watch that one?
No, but I know what you're talking about. Like them climbing over each other and stuff. We got some of that.
Yeah, making walls out of zombies, and they're all sprinters and everything. And
or they're hanging off the train at the end, and there's like they keep jumping at each other and like weighing it down. Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know if there was inspiration or maybe that's just how it works. But,
yeah. No, yeah, I thought I agree. The zombies were really well done. And I appreciate they were designed in a way that didn't require a ton of makeup. So I think they were able to like they had the eye thing and then just like, their bruises, but they didn't have to look super off. It was just off enough. And I think that was
some cornstarch and red dye. And they were incredibly convincing. I think the zombies were really well done.
Yeah. And I mean, and they built the tension, right? I mean, the scenes where we have the group of 3 guys moving through the cars trying to get back to their family. And they're trying to like figure out a way to get through each car and all that. Like tension was like through the roof. I think they nail all that stuff.
Definitely. Do we want to do a little bit more of like this movie is it has a lot of moments for me, and I think like this is not a gripe, but I feel like a lot of the technical stuff in this movie is just fine in a way that it's not noticeable. Like the direction it's good, but it doesn't stand out. The score I thought was a little hammy, but for the most part doesn't really stand out. Which kind of lets you focus a little more on the story and the characters and the stuff. So there were a bunch of moments that I found really powerful. Let's see here. My notes are in chronological order.
But while you're looking that up, I just wanted to ask you, did you recognize the main actor?
Yeah, he's the slap guy from Squid Game.
Yeah. I'm like, I know this dude. And it's like,
and he was good in Squid Game too, in like the 3 minutes of screen time he has.
Yep. And then we got the Kevin Parasite back, of course, as the baseball player.
That's who it was. Yeah. That one I didn't catch.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, he didn't survive, but he was in a lot of the movie.
Right. So the first scene that piqued my interest and I thought was really clever was the when they stop at Daegon, or the first stop.
Yeah.
And all of the like healthy people get on escalators. It's just such a good set piece because escalators are like literally a conveyor belt taking you to death.
Yeah.
So when I saw them get on escalators, I'm like, oh, I like that. Mm-hmm, that's clever. Mm-hmm. And then when you know it's a whole horde, and yeah, the escalator was not the move.
I was gonna say, try running up an escalator.
Yeah, get your steps in, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, and that's
take
why
the stairs next time.
That's why Ma Dong-suk gets husband of the year at work. So immediately he's like, "All right, you're off the escalator." He grabs his wife, puts her on the stairs, like, "Get the fuck out of here." He is my favorite part of this movie, man. I loved him so much.
Yeah,
he was such a badass.
Let's just touch on him. I really like his character. It's not like especially deep. He's just kind of a normal guy, protective, soon to be father, and he's huge.
Yeah.
But he has the funniest moments, and some of the best emotional moments, and like you kind of have a feeling like he's not gonna make it, because in this kind of movie, like max 2 people are ever gonna get out.
Well, that's the thing. I was never sure. I'm like, more people die than I expected. I thought the final count would be higher than what we got. But I might just be naive.
Well, I didn't think the main character was gonna die, so that was a. We'll say interesting. Twist. I quite liked the ending, but so I got lost. What we were talking about? We were talking about moments. Yes, a few more moments. So the next one that I love, it's not really a moment; it's just a giant set piece. Their fight up through the train,
awesome,
great.
Awesome,
so cool.
We get the superhero pose moment, which I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm down for this, and then. Yeah, we have a fight car. We have a stealth car. Like, yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, and I got to stop just listening to people. But, like, it's one of those things where since it came out, everyone has been, like, from the bottom of their lungs singing the praises of Mission Impossible, the new one. And it's like, that train scene, it's, like, the best thing ever. No one's ever even tried that. And it's like, for me, Bullet Train had a more compelling train, and this movie has a far more compelling train than just like climbing, 2 people climbing. I get it, but it's always like other people's praise shouldn't like depreciate my view of a movie. Like I thought Mission Impossible was fine, but
go back and listen to our episode if you want to hear our full thoughts about
it. Yeah. I'm trailing off again. But yeah, the fight up through the train and the way that each car, they have like a different mechanic that they go for. And when they figure out the lights, that's cool. There's a good foreshadowing when when they say there's a tunnel coming up. And then the kid's like, and if we miss that, there's another tunnel 2 miles later.
Yep.
And then they need that tunnel.
Yep.
And yeah, I loved that. Was the most compelling part of the movie for me, was them fighting their way back up and then getting to the people, the faceless people and evil bad guy, and so that car was obviously all gonna die.
Well, and I loved how they died. Right, it wasn't just zombies were strong and they broke through. It's like no, like that woman was like, "Fuck you guys, you sacrificed my sister. I'm opening this door and you guys are all getting fucked."
Yeah.
You're not a fan of that?
So I'll read you my note here.
Okay.
I don't understand why Granny died, the first Granny who died, nor do I care. And then Granny opening the door was weird. So for me, those are just like by far the least compelling characters. There's too much focus on them because they don't have any depth. They're just like, they're sisters?
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, they're sisters.
Just because I just didn't care. I
didn't necessarily care about the first Granny dying, but I understood that they cared about each other because that was set up. So I thought that her opening door was it was a payoff. I bought it. Because she was like, she was distraught when they were separated because she didn't know if she was alive or not, right? And she sees her finally and she is alive, and then she, dazzles in front of her eyes. And it's like she sees the selfishness of all the people, and she's like, I don't even want to be here anymore.
That's fair. And that car had to get filled with zombies for the plot to progress. So. What else? Sorry, I'm just laundry listing. It's not good content.
The ending, do you want to talk about, or like him dying?
Yeah, I think that might be what I have next.
But
So my last couple moment notes are on the ending, and then I've got an elephant in the room I want to address. But so when after our main character gets bitten, there's a really fantastic moment in my from what I was seeing, it resonated so well. It was because he's still in fight mode. He's still in we gotta keep going forward. He gets the pregnant woman and his daughter up into the cab.
Yep.
And he at this point he knows he's bit. He knows he has to leave, but all of a sudden it catches up to him oh, this is it.
Yeah.
And he emotionally breaks and he shares tears with his daughter. And it's such a good scene because, he would still be in full head honcho mode, we got to keep going. We got to do what's next. And then, finally, when everything's settled, he gets the realization, oh, well, that's it. And I love that. I love that little moment. And then the way that, he locks them in the cab or shuts them in the cab and his little moment. I thought the flashbacks were
a little much,
odd, but it helps service the point. And his exit from the movie I thought was great. I don't know that because he's probably the only character I wasn't expecting to die who did. But I think that the way they did it was really fantastic. I think that was the most emotionally resonant part of the movie for me.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, and that part, it really got me. I was crying, but it was partially tinged by just how mad I was at the fucking the COO guy. Because I'm like, this dude took out so many people. He took out the baseball player and his girlfriend. He took out other people sacrificing on his way. Took out the conductor who was the homie. And I was just so mad that this character had gotten this far and he fucked over so many people. And I was I'm still sad, but also just fuck that dude. If we had just killed him earlier, But I think this shows I was in the movie, right? Because obviously this didn't actually happen. It was written, but I was just mad.
Yeah, so that's my elephant in the room. I thought the mean guy who's mean and bad was the worst character in the film by a country mile. Because you're obviously supposed to get angry, but I wasn't getting angry so much as I was just so annoyed. Because it's obvious. Every time he's on screen, he's going to get someone killed. Every time he's on screen, he's going to hamper our protagonist. It's just, he was so one note, so obnoxious. Every time he shows up again, it's oh, he's in the same scene as two characters we've been following. They're going to die now. And it happened 7 times. And then to have his end happen the way it does, which I thought that actually, I didn't really care for it, where he's you gotta help me get to mom.
Yeah, I didn't need that either.
It wasn't set up at all. It was not earned. And he doesn't get what's coming to him. He doesn't, because he dies to turning into a zombie, and then he wins. The bad guy wins. Yeah. Which, it's the bad guy winning is not necessarily an issue, but when it's a character who I personally just have no connection with, it just pissed me off a little bit.
Yeah, I partially agree with you, but I also think I believed that person would exist in this situation.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
And I mean, it works thematically. It does. It's just too much of a cartoon character.
Yeah, I wish he had a little bit more of a gruesome death or something something a little more satisfying.
I wanted him to get literally chucked off the train alive.
Yeah.
Because if you just torture us with that character for the entire goddamn movie, and then he doesn't even get what's coming to him, it's lame. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I don't like The Office. Yeah, huge tangent off that.
Yeah, because to me, the biggest surprise is probably the baseball player and his girlfriend dying and the way they died. I was just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. like I don't know what you would call him, like a veteran or homeless guy, sacrifice self. He was a character I was like, could have used more development with him. Didn't really connect with.
Yeah, he didn't really have much.
But I cared about the baseball player and his girlfriend, and the way they died. I'm like, this is bullshit, man.
I think part of the reason we care about them too is that those are another two really good performances.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think part of the point of a lot of this is it feels like a lot of the deaths were unceremonial because that's just how things would be in a state like that. Except they all got the ceremonial treatment. Like they all got the soliloquy and the like go. I'll handle it. I'll hold them off, and then or like they die together with somber music. And
yeah,
it's got I don't know. I feel like they're straddling the fence on whether they want to be like super melodramatic or just show that this is just what would happen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think overall the movie is pretty grounded, and I think that's why I also like it. I mean, the only time it's cartoony is when there's not the CG's not as good when there's zombies climbing over each other.
Or random flaming train that rolls into the station.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Sorry, random flaming plot device.
One thing I just want to reiterate and make sure I mention again is like, just like how smart it was to have the main character be this selfish, finance bro, and his daughter who's like, super wholesome, because like, I feel like normally in like apocalypse content, you have the parent and child trope. And often, like, they're both like the best people ever, right? It's, you feel bad for them immediately and they're, whatever. Or you have the selfish dude, which we have in the villain, but also in this main character. And the fact you pair those two together, I think was just so smart. And he has an arc that's very satisfying. And like, you can't fully like dismiss him or like hate him because he's taking care of his daughter. But like, he's just so brazenly selfish, where he like pulls her aside. He's like, hey, only care about yourself, fuck other people,
Yeah.
I just thought it was a really smart choice to pair those two together.
I think even too, I think you should also count the big dude. Because I think that the big dude and the mean guy who's mean and bad are like pretty direct character foils. And they offer like two ends of the spectrum for our main character to work his way between. Yeah. So I do appreciate that the character dynamic within the main character and his thematic progression I thought was really good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Train to Busan. Recommendations. I mean, you mentioned it. It's not really the same, but Bullet Train, like more of a fun action movie, but similar setting, and
And then I would also say World War Z, which is actually quite good.
That's what I've
really
heard.
Really like that movie. It's also got zombies. So if you want more zombie content,
Fast zombies, they're scary, man. We don't like them.
No.
All right, well, that is our review for this week. Before I reveal what we're watching next week, it's bonus review time. Perk, you got kind of one set, so I'll start off here. Okay. I'll start off with the Marvel stuff. So 2 things here. One, Loki season 2 ended last week, featuring Tom Hiddleston. And, this is one that I was looking forward to a lot because I love Loki season 1. I think it has a great mystery and the cast is great. Like, I could watch Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson banter for like 3 hours straight. Like, it's just super fun. They have great chemistry. But I was wondering, like, what are they going to do for this season 2 here? They added what's his middle name? Ki Hui Kwan from Everything Everywhere All at Once to the cast, who is amazing. I love him so much. And also Jonathan Majors is a factor as well as a variant of Kang from Ant-Man and all that. I think overall, I don't know. I didn't like that much season 1 because I think the mystery is gone. They figure out what was going on at the end of season 1. So season 2, we already know kind of what's happening. And the mystery was like a massive part of why I love the first season. So that not being a factor anymore, not really having as much tension and, just like confusion and trying to figure things out wasn't as fun for me. Like I said, the banter is still great between Hiddleston and Wilson, but I don't know. I wasn't as engaged. And I felt like a lot of the early plot points were kind of just, I don't know, useless. Like, let's invent a problem and then solve the problem. It's like, oh, we did it. It's like, well, we didn't even have to have that problem in the first place. That all being said, the way it culminates to the ending and everything that had happened kind of coming together and mattering, I think was really smart and very satisfying. So I think the ending might have like saved the show for me. We talk about, I think we talked about last week, Perk, like endings can ruin a show.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't often talk about endings like saving a show. And I think the ending really, really helped season 2 kind of like elevate it. I still think it was kind of a slow burn and not as good as season 1, but if you're a Marvel fan, definitely watch it. It's one of the better shows we've gotten lately. And I don't know if we'll see him or Hiddleston. We might. He's a great actor.
Is that the series finale?
It seems like it. Okay. Not been confirmed, but there was no like post-credit scene of like Loki will return. Sure. And where it ends up, I could see it being the end of Loki. So the character might come back, but I think the show is done. So
gotcha.
So that was that, and then I saw The Marvels this weekend. Went in with very low expectations, and it surpassed them. Movie was very fun. It was a really fun time. I think, the main cast, but especially Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel, she is just the best. She is so fun, and you can tell she's having a great time. And like, she just completely carries that movie. Her character's family is in the movie as well, and they're just super fun to watch. They were in the Miss Marvel show with her. And yeah, like, plot is whatever, and there's some slower moments, but like, it's the shortest Marvel movie ever. It's an hour 45, and they just like, we're just going and we're having fun and don't think about it too much, and it honestly works. I think this is a great time, and like, it's not one of my top 10 Marvel movies, but like, I wasn't mad I watched it, which I thought it was going to be a Quantumania or a Multiverse of Madness situation, but it's like, no, that was fun. I had a good time with it.
There is something to be said about that too, because if you go in expecting to hate a movie, you're so much more likely to.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you went in with like expectations on the floor and came out happy, that's actually pretty high praise.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to hate it. I was expecting it to be boring, because like the trailers weren't doing it for me, especially the villain, and the villain was pretty, but like, just boring. But they're not in it that much. Most of the time, it's just the 3 main characters hanging out, having banter, and Miss Marvel is just the best. And also, for those who, if you're listening to this, you're a Marvel fan, you've probably already seen it, but this movie has some of the best post-credit scenes of all time. So that was fun to watch as well, which I hate to be that guy.
I feel like you've got some recency bias probably on that.
I mean, I could tell you about it after we finish the pod here, but very hype post-credit scenes. So yeah. If you're like me and you're kind of dismissing this one and you're a Marvel fan and you're maybe burnt out, I would say still go watch it. Like, I think you'll have more fun than you might expect. So yeah, that's my first set, and I'm going to you, Perk. What did you watch lately?
So this was over the span of a couple of weeks. I was planning to do a double feature in one night, but it didn't work out like that. But I rewatched probably 2 of top 10 movies of the 2009s. Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Of course. Classics.
Which, now don't get me wrong, there are a lot of movies that people will meme on and say, like, The Room is 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
These movies are actually good. Like, they got super critically panned. The audiences hated them when they came out, but they are such an amazing snapshot of like 2002. It's beyond amazing. It's just so much fun to exist in that environment. Like, the first one takes place on Spooky Island, and when they show up there, it's like they get off the boat and there's a guy whose hair he's got the hairdo where it's like literal spikes coming out all over his head, and I'm like, oh my god, bro, people used to actually do that. There's a scene where the gang are like trying to find their I think it's Scooby, Shaggy, and the Shaggy's love interest, whose name is Mary Jane, and there's a line where he says, "That's like my favorite name." The weed jokes are great. There's tons of them. They know what they're doing. The So Scooby, Shaggy, and Mary Jane are looking for the rest of the gang, and they come to a pool party, and all of the like possessed teens, because they all got possessed by monsters. Sorry, spoilers.
They're all dancing. 2002 live action Scooby-Doo movie.
Right. They're all dancing at the pool, but only like the zombies are dancing, and the act on stage is just legitimately Sugar Ray, the boy band, and Sugar Ray. It's exposed they've also been possessed, because like Mark McGrath has like his eyes like flash green, and it's just such a good commentary to show that like only zombies would listen to Sugar Ray. Although I don't know if Sugar Ray knew that that's what was going on. And yet this movie's like quite often laugh out loud funny. There are a couple extended fart scenes which like get over it.
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
But and then I don't know. I can gush praise about these movies for so many reasons, but the casting is probably the best casting of any movie of all time.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, if I remember one thing, is people saying that the casting for those movies was absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, it is, because first of all, it's all actors from like those campy summer horror films from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. Freddie Prinze Jr. I'm gonna look her up. I always forget her name. I'm sorry, Daphne.
Daphne?
Yeah. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, which I think is the best casting of any character of all time. And Linda Cardinelli as Velma. They're spot on every time, and they do such good impressions of these characters. They're so believable. Freddy is like the conceited asshole. Daphne like knows martial arts because she's badass. And all my glasses for Velma and all that.
Yep.
And I think what really puts these movies over the top is they were from the era when people were using CG all the time and doing it specifically with like 3D scenes in mind. Like, oh, we're gonna like throw this goop out at the screen and it's gonna splash and like look 3D to the audience. And it's so bad in such a good way. Like it enhances the experience so much, because like in Train to Busan, which we just watched, which is a similar movie to these.
Yeah, sure.
They both kind of have zombies, maybe. The bad CG kind of sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But in the original Scooby-Doo's, like the CG, they are smashing it into your face with how bad it is. And it's so fantastic. The story's goofy, but whatever. Who cares? It's a Scooby-Doo mystery. And I'm gonna top it off. I'm gonna really sell you on that these are actually good, because do you know who wrote these movies?
Who?
James Gunn.
I think I knew that. Yeah, that is actually amazing.
Reading the opening credit roll, I was like, "What? James Gunn?"
Well, that makes sense, because he used to do like those campy horror movies.
Yes.
Also, that's actually awesome.
So yeah, basically, if you haven't in a while, like go grab a glass of your favorite booze, or sorry to circle back again, but the opening scene on Scooby and Shaggy, their van is parked by a beach and there's smoke coming up through the top, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Scoob, this is prime." And then they open up, or they go into the van and they're cooking hamburgers on the grill. See what you did.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Yes, that they're so self-aware and so fun. And yeah, grab some friends and some booze and watch these movies. They've aged like a fine wine when they should have aged like dog shit.
Like milk, yeah. Fantastic. Love to hear it. All right, well, I'll finish us off here, Perk, with a couple more things. I'll start off by just saying, I'm not going to try to talk about it again, but I've been in the mood lately for just like a comfort, easy watch show, and I just need something that doesn't have subtitles that I could just kind of zone out to.
I wonder if we've been watching a lot of super gritty thrillers from Korea might inspire that.
Yeah. So I've been rewatching the show Castle, and I just love it. Did you ever watch it?
It's a good show. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was growing up, middle school, high school. My family watched it every week together, and so it's kind of like a nostalgic, show in that way. But also, it's just fucking good, man. Nathan Fillion is just the best. I love him so much, and he's just so fun to watch. And then, Stana, is it Kotick or Konik as Beckett is incredible, and the whole supporting cast is great. But I think what really like sells that show and makes it like a cut above the other procedurals is like his family dynamic with his daughter and his mom. I think just adds a ton of heart. And sometimes it's like, they're hanging out and then his daughter says something. He's like, oh, I just solved the case, which is a little bit, whatever. But the heart of their family, I think, really elevates it. And some of the mysteries and cases like actually like super interesting, and there's really cool twists and stuff. So yeah, I've been watching. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get. I'm in season 2 right now, but just having a great time reliving that show because it's great. But the star of the show, I think I want to make sure I talk to you about, Perk, is the other movie I saw this weekend, which is, it finally came out in wide release, The Holdovers. This is the new Paul Giamatti throwback like 70s Christmas movie. It is phenomenal. It is so good.
I'm really trying to work it into the schedule. I've been super busy lately, but I know that movie is just going to be a cup of cocoa.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so for those who don't know, it's set in 1970. It's shot like a 70s movie. Like the camera they use of the film, like it looks like a 70s movie. Don't like giveaway it's not. It's probably like the sound quality is really good. But it takes place as private high school, like all male high school, and I think it's in upstate New York. And Christmas break is coming, and there's a group of kids that for whatever reason can't go home to their parents. They're holding over for the holidays, and Paul Giamatti is this curmudgeonly ancient civilizations teacher that's been tasked with taking care of the kids while they're holding over. And there's also a, for lack of a better term, lunch lady who's there as well. And it's really about the relationship between him and one of the students there. And man, yeah, the characters are phenomenal. The writing is phenomenal. The sense of place. I mean, the look of it helps a ton, but you just really feel like you're there, man. Like it's obviously like all practical sets, and like it's just a very cozy, New England town. And not every scene is cozy. There's a lot of yelling and combativeness, but like it has a ton of heart, and it's just incredibly compelling. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I don't want to say too much more without, I don't want to spoil anything, but Giamatti just absolutely kills it. And the supporting cast again is great. So yeah, go see The Holdovers if you can. It is such a great movie.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, highly recommended. But yeah, that is our show for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Next week, we're doing our final Korean film on this string, which will be The Bros, featuring Ma Dong-suk, who is the buff husband. So we're excited to see more of him. And it's a comedy, so we're we get a break.
Yeah, we kind of went heavy with Korea.
Yeah, but that's on Netflix only. So next week will be The Bros on Netflix. But until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.